Good morning. This is our Sunday school lesson for July the 12th, and I just want to welcome you all this morning. Today we're talking about Jesus when he was young. We have two areas of scripture that they're using in our lesson, and the one is from Ecclesiastes 3, verse 1. And that is, for everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven. And then a time to tear, a time to sow, a time to keep silent, and a time to speak. That is the first scripture. And then the section scripture takes us into Luke. And this is the story of when Jesus was young. I think the only story that we have once he was not a baby anymore. And it's when they went to the temple at Passover to make their sacrifices. Mary, Joseph, the family, and Jesus was around 12 years old. And according to Jewish history, 12 years of age is about the time that you're not just like a little child anymore. You start to, you're expected to have more understanding. You're on your way to adulthood, so you're learning a lot more and growing, and that's where Jesus was at this age when they went to the temple. So we all know, most of us know the story of when they went to the temple. They went as a large group, as a family. And after they did their sacrifices and the things that normal Jewish people did in those days, it was a requirement of the Jewish people. They gathered up and went home, and they were about a day away when they discovered Jesus wasn't with them, and they searched through the caravan of people and nobody could find Jesus, so they had to turn around and go back to the temple. Once they got there and they found Jesus, he was in the company of elders, the priests, the wise men of his day, and he was asking them questions. And the scripture talks about how they marveled when he spoke to them and the questions that he asked. And for his age, they were really, really surprised. Now, of course, Joseph and Mary were very, very upset. And that is part of the story too. But today, I want to lean in on Jesus being 12 and starting to be so aware of God and his kingdom and have that insatiable appetite to learn. It's really amazing. And there's a scripture that I'm going to read at the end of this talk that I feel like is in the heart of everyone. So I'm going to veer away from our main lesson today, and I want to talk about all of us. Jesus already had this growing part of the giftings that God had put in him for his ministry and his destiny on this earth. And at 12 years of age, he was actively engaging with this gift that he would make older people marvel. That's pretty amazing. So I feel like this scripture gives us an opportunity to look at all of us as well. It's the perfect week to learn about us in the scripture. Ecclesiastes talks about a perfect season for everything. It's the perfect season for us to be here, for us to be alive and living. Jesus stayed behind at the temple because his gifting was growing. He already had DNA and a destiny inside of him to serve God. Some of this would be talking about the Pharisees and the learned people in Israel, and I think I said that wrong. Some of this would be talking with the Pharisees and the learned people in Israel he probably had a hunger that surpassed many people, especially at his age. Jesus was God and man. So when he lived on the earth, he had to grow and learn as we all do. And he had to overcome obstacles as we all do. Nevertheless, this is a perfect picture of a boy with a gifting inside of him and using it. Even though he worried his parents, he was engaged in the things of God. His curiosity brought the attention of the wise men that were staying in the temple. Granted, when his parents found him, they were concerned and he went home with them, and the scripture says he was obedient. But my point is, what Jesus did on earth was amazing. But I believe that we are already all born with gifts built into our DNA. Psalm 139 says, "We were fearfully and wonderfully made." God designed us, and the purposes of God are already inside of us. What happens is life can beat us down. People speak untruths about us, and we believe them. Sometimes we speak about ourselves because of our circumstances or because of the things that other people have said, or when life just seems like it's out of whack. Circumstances do not dictate who we are. God says who we are. We need to believe the truths of the Bible. This book was written for us. Sometimes we see things in our children that scare us because we don't understand. But the gifts will grow in our children, and we need to nurture those gifts. Teenagers and adults realize that we have special abilities. Maybe you want to call them your superpowers, but you have giftings already designed in you by the Creator. So nurture them. Embrace them. Embrace the good things that God says about you. Replace those lies that the world says and other people say, and those lies will start to disappear. It is the truth of God that will set you free from the restraints holding you back. So embrace your destiny. So this week, I want you to really look inside and see those things that just come so easily for you. Maybe you're a helper. Maybe you like to work on electronics. Maybe you love being outside and working in the yard. Maybe, farming. All those things are gifts and things that God can use and gift you. But pay attention, because we all have gifts. We all have gifts. Now I'd like to share this scripture from Ecclesiastes, and it's from chapter 9, and it's from the Amplified version, and it's just a partial verse. It's entitled "God Set Eternity in the Heart of Man." Starting at verse 11, "He has made everything beautiful and appropriate in its time. He has also planted eternity, a sense of divine purpose, in the human heart, a mysterious longing which nothing under the sun can satisfy except God." Follow your heart, follow the passions that drive you. Embrace who you are, like who you are. Don't turn away from who you are. God has designed you special. You are unique, you're individual. There is no one else like you. So, okay, I hear a call coming in. So my question is to you today, is God calling you? Listen to what He has to say about you and answer the call. Thank you.